Now, the Prime Minister wants it to become normal and aspirational to attend parenting courses. The classes were first introduced under the coalition government and were criticised for low take-up. But David Cameron says he plans to relaunch the scheme.
So I can announce today that our Life Chances strategy will include a plan for significantly expanding parenting provision. It will examine the possibility of introducing a voucher scheme for parenting classes, and it will recommend the best way to incentivise parents to take them up.
Well, the North East philanthropist Sir Peter Vardy, who founded the UK branch of the charity Safe Families for Children, welcomes today's news but says more needs to be done to mend broken families.
The facts are that through family breakdown, 93,000 children are in care. They end up, by the time they're 18, leaving care. 43% of them end up in prison. 70% of them reoffend within a year. They come out of prison to no home, no community to belong to, and no meaningful work.
So what sort of things then do you think should be covered in parenting classes to bring those kind of figures down?
Well, what I'm saying though is if this was a business, it would be bankrupt. We need to go back to early intervention and do something to slow down the number of children that are going into care in the first place. That's where the priority needs to be. Can we reduce those 93,000 children in care? Can we slow down the number of children going into care? And it can be done. You know, it's what Cameron called big society. It's engaging with volunteers to help folks that can help those that can't. And I've found with Safe Families for Children that we have a programme that has helped so far 500 families in the UK. It's helped 20,000 families in the States. It was started by Dr. Dave Anderson, a child psychologist. They've helped 20,000 families and 93% of them have stayed together. Only 2% of them ended up in care.
You're talking about your particular charity, which is obviously doing good things, but is this not the responsibility of government? Shouldn't they be doing more?
No,
whether it's using your charity or other charities.
We can't keep asking the government to pay. The government hasn't got enough money to pay. We need to reinstate society. We need to rebuild our communities. We need to start helping each other instead of sitting back and waiting for the government to do everything.
But how do you make that happen?
Well, we have thousands, hundreds of thousands of people in the UK who want to volunteer. Look at the Olympic Games. 71,000 people offered to volunteer to staff the Olympic Games. We've only just started in the UK. We have 2,500 people wanting to help Safe Families. I think we could get 100,000 people motivated to help families in crisis. And people that are going through a crisis would welcome a volunteer rather than a social worker. When they see a social worker, they think they're coming to take my children away. There's a panic on. If they see a volunteer coming that isn't getting paid, that's doing it out the kindness of the heart, and because they want to help, the people that's going through these difficult times welcome that.
You're speaking, of course, as a former businessman as well, and from what you're saying, you say it makes economic sense to do this. So that is something surely that David Cameron's going to listen to.
Well, you have to look at it from a business perspective. You know, you look at the cause of the problem. You don't deal with the end result. You say, if I can stop this problem at inception, then we're not fighting rearguard action.
That's Sir Peter Vardy from Safe Families for Children.
BBC Newcastle.